All right, so today we are going to go over the math Chrome extension called Equatio. And so today is Monday, or no, Tuesday, May 26th. Um, it seems like every day is Groundhog Day, right? One day leads into the next. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, show you a few ways on how you can integrate it and use it, and demo a little bit of the Equatio toolbar. It's definitely gotten a lot more enhanced since I've used it, or since I played around with it a while back. So let me get started. So let me share my screen. All right. So somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, thanks, guys. All right, so Equatio is a Chrome extension that will allow you to add mathematical equations or expressions or graphs into some type of Google file. Okay, so in order to use this, you have to go to the Chrome Web Store and search the store for Equatio, Equatio, and you would install this Chrome extension. It's from Text Help. It's from the same people that designed and created the Read and Write for Google toolbar. So this is the same company. So you install it and you give it access to approve it to access your account, get initialized, get it all set up. And once it's all set up, it's going to be installed as a Chrome extension at the top right. So it looks like a blue diamond. Do you see that up at the top right? Okay. So now that I have it installed, in order for, and actually what I'm going to do is share these notes in the chat so you can see these as well. I worked on this today. So let me put this in the chat. You could kind of follow along with with the notes. So I have the Chrome extension installed, and it lives in your browser. And if you don't, if you don't want to use it, you simply just you can disable it if you want, or you can just leave it there and it'll stay dormant until you click on it. So what I want to show you next is how I showed you how to install it. So what type of Google file will it interact with? Well, it'll interact with a Google Doc, a Google slideshow, a presentation, spreadsheets, Google Drawings, Google Forms, and Jamboard. So you can use Equatio with all of these different Google files. It's not limited to just one file type. Okay, so I'm going to open up a new, let me reset my myself here. So I'm going to open up and go to a new page on this Google Doc. Okay. And the first thing that I want to do is maybe I want to insert some mathematical equations, or, a graph or whatnot. So I'm going to click on the Equatio icon at the top right. And down here at the bottom, an Equatio toolbar opens up. Do you guys see that at the bottom of the Google Doc? Okay. Karen, you don't see it? Okay. All right. So you guys are math teachers, so you're going to have to excuse me. I am not a math expert. All right. But I will do the best I can. So this, I'm going to go over the toolbar and what each icon does. So the first one is the equation editor, and that's going to allow you to type, insert some type of mathematical equation in here. So if I wanted to insert text, I can insert text in here. All right. if I wanted to, it uses machine learning. So if you type in 4, and then if I type in square, it knows that you want to type 4 squared, so it gives you some type of menu, thinking that it's going to predict what you want to type. So it's nice. That's a nice feature. If I wanted to click on the more options here, I get all these different symbols or different options that are available. So this is going to allow me to basically format my equation. I can bold it if I wanted to. Okay. I can, strike through, underline. Um, the pie is going to allow you to insert symbols. Okay, so some of these symbols may not be available on the keyboard, or they may be available in another equation toolbar, but you may not like how it looks. It may not be, might be too small, or it may not be big enough or whatnot. So I can insert, a symbol into my equation using the pie submenu here. The next one is basically, different subscripts and different other types of mathematical symbols that you may need if you're doing this type of math. And notice here, when I hover over um, an option, I get a heart. So I can add this to my favorites. So I don't always have to search through these submenus. If there's something that I use all the time, I can add it to my favorites by clicking on the heart. And then when I go over into the heart section or the favorites, they're going to show up there. So it's a quick way of kind of like bookmarking your formulas or your symbols, so that you can create your equations quickly. Um, the next icon here is the formula menu. So these are going to be your basic, your formulas that you teach with all the time. So if I had, volume of a cube, or a prism, a pyramid, area of a circle, these ones are common. So you may want to bookmark it. And then if I wanted to add it in, I can just click on it and add it in. Okay, so see how I'm just manipulating the text box here so that I can add these the equations in here. Okay. Let me back up a little bit. All right, so now let me fix my screen here. Hold on. All right, what? Okay. All right, let me get a different equation in here. Why is this doing this? Let me clear this out and let me start over again. Let's do something, I don't know. So I'm going to use, now if I type PL, it'll give me like a machine learning prediction menu there. So it's easier to type. Equals, let's just do 20. Okay. So in the 3-dot menu, you have these different options on inserting symbols and formulas in here. And this formula menu here, it has all the pre-made formulas that you would need, so you don't have to recreate them. So just remember to put to mark it as your favorite, so that it'll show up in your favorites menu. Okay. Now, once I create my equation, I click Insert Math. And what that's going to do, it's going to take that equation and it inserts it into my Google Doc as an image. Okay, it's important to know that it's an image file. And the reason why it's highlighted is because the previous sentence was highlighted. All right, so I can unformat that. I didn't reset my doc, so I apologize for this, because I was playing around with it before. All right, so now if I hit Insert Math, All right, it inserts the image as it inserts the equation as an image. Okay, and at this point, I can resize it and make it bigger or whatnot. So that's the equation editor. All right. The next icon is the Latex Editor, and I'm not sure what that is. All I know is it's really for advanced users. So I'm just gonna skip it. All right, because I think everything that you can do in the Latex Editor, you can do in the equation editor. But you mathematic people would probably know better with that. The next one is the graph editor. So this integrates with Desmos. So if I wanted the students to, you know, um, graph a specific line, or if you come up with, different coordinates, you can have them, you know, uh, they can plot points on here, they can graph on here. This is basically an integration with Desmos. So if you know Desmos, you know this part of the Equatio uh, menu. Um, if I wanted to add anything in here, I can do that as well by clicking on the plus sign. So I can take this graph and I can insert it into my Google Docs. So that's another way of inserting graphs into your document or into your file. So like I said, you'd have to set it up in that Graphing editor on what you would want it to look like. So one of you math people, tell me an equation that you can, a valid equation that I can graph here. I'm putting you guys on the spot. Somebody. Anybody. Unmute.
Y equals 4x minus 7.
Y equals 4x
Minus 7.
minus 7. Okay, so does that graph look correct, Sally?
I don't know. I have to do it.
Oh, okay. All right, so let me zoom out.
Oh, I can't see your screen anymore either.
Okay, so you can't see my screen? Oh, that's weird. All right, hold on. Let me go back and present again. Can you see it now? Okay. Sally, you see it? Karen sees it. Okay. All right, so here is my equation, y equals 4x minus 7. Here's the graph. I can insert the graph right into a Google Doc. Okay, and here's my graph. So you can take this and you can have, you can put whatever you need to put before or after the graph for the students to respond to this graph. The next item on the toolbar is handwriting recognition. So this is actually going to be good if you have a touchscreen or a mobile device, because I can take my my stylus or my finger, and I can write on this part here. And you see how it generates the text form of that equation, and then I hit insert math, and again it inserts it into my Google Doc as an image. Okay, so you can use the handwriting recognition tool as well. There is a speech input, so you can speak your equation and it should pick up your text. So it does do speech to text. So let's see. 4x plus 3 equals 10. And now I hit insert math. And this is supposed to see how there's 3 dots here, and this menu is covering my doc. This is supposed to be, I'm supposed to be able to drag this up and down here. So if I wanted to see more of the screen, I can. But there is my equation. So it it did add that correctly into my Google Doc. Um, the next icon is for mobile. I don't really know anything about that. But if you have a mobile device and you want to download it, play with it, it looks like it can really be helpful. The next one is the math space. And this is the part that I was really excited to learn about because the last time I was in Equatio, they didn't have math space. So this, you'd have to think of it as like a virtual manipulatives with your kids. So let me go down in the doc a little bit more. Let me go to the next page. All right, so I'm going to go to math space and it opens up a new tab. Do you see my screen? Okay. So this is the math space. So you know, again, your toolbar is going to be here at the bottom. You can, you know, do freehand draw in here if you like. All right. You know, sometimes there might be need for that. I can delete it if I don't want it. I should be able to delete it, but anyway. What I wanted to show you here is there's a shape tool, so I can insert shapes here. I can change the fill color, the fill bucket of that shape from up here. All right, and then when you click on a shape or an object, you get this side panel here of a menu for this shape, so you can maybe do transitions or rotations. You can change all that in here. So if I go to, let's try this one, and I want to rotate. Oops, I have to click on it first. And I want to rotate it. See, I can manipulate it that way. So it's nice. It's a nice tool. It's a quick tool. I can insert maybe different angles in here. And you know, you can change the color of the fill again. You know, so you know, you can, there's a lot in here that you can do. But what I want to show you here is the smart shapes, because this is the part that I thought was really cool. So let me get out of this. I don't know. There it goes. Let me clear my screen. So if I go to the smart shapes, okay, there's all different types of shapes that you can add in here. So let's just go to the fraction circle. I can click on and create a fraction circle. I can change the number of segments here. All right, so the number of segments is 7. How many are shaded, or 5? I can manipulate that, which I thought was really cool. I can label this, so if you want to keep this and reuse it, you can label it. But if I go into the fraction bar, let's say there was, again, I can change the amount that's shaded. Oops. There it goes. Okay, so you can you can manipulate it that way. But where was it? It was where was it? I can't find it now. There was an area in here. No, hold on a minute. I gotta find it. That gave me all of these. Maybe it's in here. Here it is. Sorry, guys. So the smart shapes, you know, you can add different angles in here, okay, and you can change your angles. So if you're doing anything with geometry, you know, you can do your obtuse angles and different work, you know, different manipulatives in that way. You can show your arrows here on your angles. All right, you could show your label if you want, which you probably wouldn't want to. But that's in the Smart Shapes menu. If I go back to the regular menu, the Shapes menu, and I click on the 3 dots, look at all of these options I have here. I have different coins that I can use with the students, tangrams, pattern blocks. I have solid shapes here. So if I wanted to, I can add that in there. If I go into 10 frame, base 10 blocks. This is neat for students if you're using any of these types of tools or manipulatives with the kids. If I go into, there's Venn diagrams in here, so you don't have to create your own. You can use the ones that are in here. Algebra tiles. Do you guys use algebra tiles? If you do, you can create a digital interface for algebra tiles using the this tool here, and then the kids can just, you know, move them around and manipulate them that way. So this has a lot of potential. I really thought this was cool. And like, I'm not a math person, so I don't really know a lot about these different options, but you're going to probably use the same ones over and over and over again. So you'll become more familiar with, you know, more of the menu that's associated with that shape on how you can manipulate the object. But I thought that this was really cool that it was all in here. Now, how do I get this into my Google Doc? Right? I just showed you the Equatio toolbar, the math space option. So what I want to do is I am going to, oops, let me get out of this. Insert math. Why is this? The menu's not going away there. All right, so now if I go into and click insert math, this whole page should show up in my Google Doc. So what is this? All right, let's do insert math. I swear it all works when I'm not recorded. So maybe there's too much on the screen. I don't know. Let me delete some stuff out of here. All right, so let me delete these. All right, we'll delete this and we'll delete this. Okay, so let's see what happens now. So now, oh, I need to hit this button here. So I'm not going to hit the insert math icon. I'm going to hit, or button, I'm going to hit the insert button up here. That means like it's going to upload into the doc. So if I click on this button here, it's going to take that, well, whatever was on that page, and it puts it all into one image. So before I had like, you know, 6 different objects on that page, it would put all those 6 different objects as one image. As you can see, it groups it all as one image. Do you see how it's highlighted? Okay, so I can't take my my circle and move it without my fraction bar moving. It's the same object. So if you want to separate it, then you would have to create each object on its own. So if I wanted to take, let's take my fraction circle. Oops. Come on. Now I'm going too fast. All right. And if I wanted to insert this, I'd have to do each object separate so that I can move that object on my Google Doc into a different location. So it's not grouped in with any other object on my page. All right, you guys understand that? Okay. All right, so that's the math workspace, and then the next icon is the screenshot reader, which I thought was really cool because I can highlight something on the screen and it'll read it to the kids, which is great for accessibility features. So if I take this, let me see. If I click on this, you guys could still see my screen? Okay. If I click on this, all right, see how my arrow is like in, it looks like a bullseye. If I kind of highlight or select the information that I wanted to read, it'll take it and process it and it'll read it to the kids. Okay, so I can hear it, but I know you can't hear it. So when you do this, it'll take that object, that image, because everything that you put into a Google Doc from Equatio is an image. It'll take that and it'll process it, and it'll give the kids the option to play it. So the Math Space is a premium feature, but it's free now for all teachers. So I would definitely sign up for Equatio, and they may end up extending it into the school year. So at least get your account established now, and then if they do roll over um, that extension, you'll already have access to the premium features. And I think I did put that into the Getting Started guide. Visit their website. So if you click on their website, you'll get some more information about that. Okay, so any questions about the Equatio toolbar, how to get the information into a Google Doc? Pretty cut and dry, right? You guys good with that? Okay. So that's a little bit of information about the Equatio toolbar, and in the notes, I went over what each option does in the toolbar. So everything that I explained to you is laid out in the Getting Started document. And I also showed you how to integrate it with Google Docs. So the same way I showed you how to integrate it with Google Docs, that would be the same way for Google Sheets, Google Slides, and Google Drawings as well. All right, so those procedures for those file types are going to be the same. For Google Form, it's a little different. So I'm going to go into my Google Form. All right, and I created a Google form for this demo, for this training, and you can see here that I have different equations set up for the kids to solve. And me personally, for my purposes, I wanted them to, I was thinking along the lines of them solving the equation on a piece of paper and then just typing in their answer here. That's where I was going with this. So if I preview this form, that's how come I have the short answers for each of the questions here. But you can see, because I have the Equatio Chrome extension installed and it's enabled, that I have a little blue icon here next to any text box or text description field. So I can insert math in here in this short answer field. So that's why the Equatio Chrome extension shows up here. It's telling you, hey, you can use the extension to answer these questions. So how did I get these questions in here? So let me go back into edit mode. And I have my Chrome extension enabled because it could see all the little blue squares with the Equatio symbol in there. Let's see. Let it load. All right, so again, when you create a form, you have to insert a question. So I'm going to delete this. So I'm going to insert a question, so I hit add question. All right, and I'm going to change it to short answer because I want them to type it in. Okay, and you can see here I have, the math Equatio icon here. So I click on that, and my toolbar shows up here at the bottom, same as before. So I can use the equation editor, and I can type in, let's see, square root of 16, and click insert math. And it puts the image into the question. Now you can't see the image because it's hidden behind this 3-dot menu. But if I click on add question again, you can see that the equation is there. Okay, so you can insert images, insert equations that way. I can also insert them. Let's go back. Let's make this a multiple choice. All right. And I can also insert the equations as an option for a multiple choice answer. So I changed my question type to multiple choice. And let's just say I'm going to clear this out. And just for argument's sake, I'm just going to type in 3x squared. And I click insert math. That can be an option for the multiple choice. As you can see, let's go to this. As you can see here, this is the question that you want them to solve. And then, you can certainly give them options to pick from when, when you're trying to solve the equation. You can insert those as choices for them in a multiple choice or a select a drop down list. So, but for me, this example, I was doing short answers. So you can certainly do that as well. Any questions about that? So Karen has a question. Do they have to have the Equatio extension to use it? Yes, I was just going to say. So the students, if you want the students to respond using the mathematical expressions or equations or symbols, they have to install the Equatio Chrome extension as well. But if you don't need them to do that, and you want to create a resource just for them to work on or print out or save it as a PDF, then they don't need it. So it depends on the use that you're going to use it for. But if you want them to respond to you using these tools, they have to install the Equatio Chrome extension. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So that's how you would put it in a form. And then when I display the form, this is how it's going to look. So it looks clean. It doesn't look, cluttered. It looks clean. I was playing around with it to get myself prepared for this training. And I think that, this would satisfy my needs. It looks nice. It's accurate. It's clean. It's easy to read. Um, and this is what it would look like if it was a multiple choice. So this is the question, and then this was one of the options that the kids can pick for one of the correct answers. So, again, the question types are preference. It's what you want the kids to do. Me personally, I think it's too easy for them to just pick an option. I would rather them solve the equation on a piece of paper and then type the answer into a short answer question, so that they're not guessing, or at least they tried solving it. So they can do that. All right, now the last thing that I want to show you is using it in Jamboard. And I know I showed a lot of people Jamboard. You guys know I love Jamboard, and I'm trying to get people more familiar with it. But you can certainly use Jamboard with your students and create, a mathematical assignment using Jamboard. So what you have to do first is you have to get all of your expressions, your manipulatives, your fraction bars, your Venn diagram, your equations, anything that you were doing, your graphs, into a Google Doc. So we'll use this Google Doc as an example, because I have all of these examples in here already. I have the graph and the pie, the circle chart. So you have to get all of your equations and all of your material into a Google Doc. And you may say, well, what's the point of putting it in Jamboard then? If I'm already putting it in a Google Doc, why do I have to put it in Jamboard? Because Jamboard is going to let the kids actually write on it. So that'll become their digital notebook. So you can create your jam with all of your equations, And you can share that out to them in Google Classroom and make a copy for that jam for each of your students. So for this example here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of these equations here. All right. And again, the equation's an image. It's important that you know that because it allows you to manipulate it in a different way. So I'm going to click on the image and I'm going to copy it. So I right click copy. Okay, and it copies it to the clipboard. Now I go into Jamboard. And what Jamboard's going to do is it's going to open up in a blank frame, okay, after you create your jam. And I have to paste the image into my jam. So all I'm going to do is right click, or well, on my Chromebook, it's not show and paste. So you have to do the keyboard shortcut Control V. And it takes that image and it pastes it right into my jam. Now I can take this equation and I can put it on a frame for your students to solve. So now I can go to a new frame. So I go to frame number 3, and then I can go back into my Google Doc that has all of my equations and just say I take this one, this graph. So I'm going to right click copy. I go back into my jam and I do Control V. And here is my graph. And now I can actually, if I wanted to, I can use a sticky note and you can say, write the equation for this graph. And I hit save. Okay, so now you have your directions here and you have your graph here. And now all this white space your kids can use to solve it. They can use their touchscreen device, whether it's an app, a mobile device on an iPad, or a touchscreen Chromebook, or they can certainly use the pen tool and solve it this way. They can write on it with their mouse. That's what I'm doing here. Or if they're using a mobile device, uh, download the Jamboard app and they could write on it using their iPad or phone. So you're putting all the equations in a Google Doc, and you can certainly use the Google Doc with your students, but Jamboard just gives it more of a dynamic workspace, so the kids can have a digital notebook. You can actually see them solving the equation, and then it's right there. There's no half of it's on a piece of paper, or they got to take a picture of it and send it in. Everything is right in Jamboard. So you can create multiple frames, and you can have one frame for each equation. So all you do is, you can drag it, you can resize it. And of course you would have to give them directions before you start this with them. But that's, to me, this white space here is priceless, because they can just solve it right on here. So that's my little training on Equatio. I really think it's come a long way since I've looked at it a few months ago. Let me stop sharing my screen. I do really love the math space a lot. I think, oops, did I? Nope. Okay. I thought I lost you. I think the math space is a great tool to use with the kids, especially if you look at it as a manipulative library, math library, um, virtual mathematics math library. I think it'll be a great tool to use with the kids in that respect, or just to create your resources. You can do that all in the Equatio toolbar. So I think it's a great, extension. I just wanted to share it with you guys because I know the math teachers, you guys have a little different need than some of the other subject areas. So that's kind of why this week I'm focusing on math. But do you have any questions? I hope this was helpful.
I don't have any questions, but it is definitely helpful.
Oh, good.
Because like Donna and I are trying to like assign homework and stuff, and now that